What's up, everyone? It's Chris from Pickdawgz.com here with your free 2023 NCAA basketball tournament South Region preview. Before we get to that preview, I'm going to let you guys know Pickdawgz.com, we're doing it bigger and better than anyone else. Got more free pick videos on our channel than you'll find anywhere else on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed and also take advantage of our free Sportsbook bonus offer. The link in the description of this video below. Now, while I do love giving out free picks, if you're looking for my best bets, the games I love the most, including my daily $15 best bet, check out Pickdawgz.com and click the Premium Picks tab at the top of the page. But let's get to this preview of the South Region at the 2023 NCAA basketball tournament, the March Madness tournament. The madness finally upon us, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the bracket, look at the matchups, and try to give you guys a couple of maybe potential upsets. I see teams that should be on upset alert, maybe a bold prediction or two, and maybe a value bet, a dark horse, if you will, and who I think is going to come out of each region. Again, these aren't necessarily my best bets. You can find those at Pick Dawgz, but also make sure you leave your picks in the comment section below who you think is going to make it out of the region, what upsets you have on your bracket. But anyways, let's get into it. Let's look at the bracket. We're going to look at the top half of the bracket first. For the South Region, the number one overall seed, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the SEC regular season and tournament champions. And you got a 16 seed match between Texas A&M Corpus Christi and Southeast Missouri State. You go down to the 8th seed, the Maryland Terrapins, the best team against the spread in the Big Ten at 20-11 against the spread this season. Going up against number 9 seed West Virginia. They started conference play 0-5, but they had 4 wins over ranked teams since January 18th, so really picked up their play to earn an at-large bid at the Big Dance. You got number 5 San Diego State, the Mountain West regular season and tournament champions, 27-6 on the year. Meanwhile, you got Charleston, the 12 seed on the other side. They won their mid-season tournament at home. They beat Davidson, they beat Colorado State and Virginia Tech in those games. They are Colonial regular season champions, and they won the Colonial Conference tournament. And you got number 4 seed Virginia. They beat Baylor and Illinois as ranked teams in a mid-season tournament. I believe it's the Continental Tire Invitational. They also want to share the ACC regular season title. You also got Furman in there at 27-7, the SoCon regular season co-champions and the tournament champions. It's their first berth at the the NCAA tournament March Madness since 1980. And I'll tell you, we're going to be talking about a couple of these matchups down the road. But let's get to the bottom half of the bracket. You got the number 6 seed Creighton Blue Jays, 21-12 on the year. They got through a rough patch of injuries mid-season to get to this point. Double-digit, team ranked in or around the KenPom rankings, around the top 15 pretty much all year, despite having that double-digit loss total. I got NC State on the other side. For the 3 seed, you got the Baylor Bears. They started Big 12 play 0-3. But, they won 11-14 down the stretch, and they come to the NCAA tournament 11th in the country. Meanwhile, number 14 seed UC Santa Barbara, the Big West regular season co-champions and tournament champions. You got the number 7 seed Missouri Tigers. They looked really good in the early portion of their schedule. Problem for me is that they only had one really tough opponent at home, and that was Kansas. They got blown out in that game today, and we're going to talk about that later on. You got the 10 seed, the Utah State Aggies, 26-8. Absolutely no pushover themselves either. And to round out the South Regional bracket, at least in the first round, you got the Arizona Wildcats, 28-6, Maui Invitational champions and Pac-12 tournament champions, and Princeton, the number 15 seed, 21-8 on the year, the Ivy League regular season co-champs and the tournament champions as well. But let's move on. Let's take a look at some potential, first round matchups. Before they get to that, I'm going to get to my bold prediction. I'm going to predict that at least 3 double-digit seeds reach the second round here, and I have some good reasons for them, I'll tell you that much. So let's get right into it. I'm not going to make you guys wait any longer. These are the games I think should have teams that should be on upset alert, or could just be potential outrights in general. I'm going to start with one of the ones that I actually like the most, I think, of this whole region. I'm going to go with number 13 Furman over West Virginia. I think this is a spot, this is a great Furman team. It's a great story. Like I said, their first tournament since 1980. They match up well with a Virginia team that I feel could be one of the most overvalued and overrated coming into the tournament. We all know about Virginia's pack line defense. They force teams to beat them from outside. But the thing is, Furman, 13th in the country in 3-point attempts, 10th in effective field goal percentage, first in the country in shooting percentage inside the arc. And that's something I feel that the Paladins can use to get past a Virginia team that has trouble offensively at times. They scored 65 points or less in 7 of their last 11 games, and that offense is going to struggle even more without Ben Vanderplas out for the season. Now we go on to the next one. The next game that I think could be on at least upset alert, if not a full-on upset. That's the Charleston Cougars over number 5 seed San Diego State. And again, we all know about this Aztec defense, and I completely respect the ranking given to the Aztecs, given that they are a deep team and have a ton of experience. The thing for me, though, is that Charleston, they have a lineup that features 5 double-digit scores, and that could spell trouble against the San Diego State team that, like the rest of the Mountain West, has had a tendency to go through scoring droughts and struggle at the NCAA tournament. San Diego State, they haven't made it out of the first round in their last 3 tournament appearances going back to 2015. We could potentially see a 4th straight here. My third upset, this one I would say is a little bit less of an upset. This should just be maybe upset alert, and that's going to be number 14 seed UC Santa Barbara over number 3 Baylor. Now Baylor, they were a team that I was high on down the stretch. They performed really well against the very, very tough Big 12. That might be the toughest Big 12 I've seen in years. At least just with how tough the entire conference was. Normally, the Big 12 can sometimes be a little bit top-heavy, but this one was just littered throughout with tons of tough opposition. But the problem for me with Baylor was that they lost 4 of 6 entering the conference tournament, and then they're going up against a UC Santa Barbara team that runs an efficient offense. They got their top 6 scorers all shooting around 46% or better from the field. Baylor, they've had issues with defense in spots, and they've let teams hang around, which could be problematic here. The only concern I have with UC Santa Barbara is that they didn't have the toughest of schedules. UC Irvine was the only team that UC Santa Barbara played inside the top 100 according to Ken Palm at any point this season. So that could be the little bit of a sticking point for UC Santa Barbara here. And the last one, this is technically an upset from a seeding perspective, but if you look at opening odds and opening lines, you wouldn't necessarily consider it an upset, and that's going to be number 10 seed Utah State over Missouri. Now, like I said, right now, at the time this video is being recorded, Utah State favored by 2 points at the time. Over Missouri at this time that this video is being recorded. And both teams, they could easily score into the 80s or 90s in this game. But I think it's going to be Missouri that's actually going to have their hands full here. Missouri, they gave up 35% from 3 to opposing teams in conference play and 35.4% from 3 all year long. But that's against an SEC that shot well below average from 3 for the most part this season. If we look at the 3-point percentage across the country, and we say that around 33% is the midfield point around of the 363 team Division I field, and use 33% as the low end for that average of the 3-point percentage this season, only 4 teams in the SEC shot better than 33% from 3-point range, and Missouri was one of them. That doesn't bode well against a Utah State team that's 11th in the country in 3-point percentage, 13th in offensive efficiency, 12th in effective field goal percentage. They're top 40 in shooting across the board. And Missouri is as well, but Utah State top 30 in 2-point defense, which is where Missouri is more effective from a percentage perspective than anywhere else this season. If we're going off of seeding, this is an upset, but I think odds makers are going to disagree on this one. Now, what we're going to look at now that we're past the upsets. Again, remember, if you like any upsets here, if you think I'm wrong, respectfully, tell me in the comment section below. Love reading your guys' comments, seeing what you guys think about some of these games. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at a potential dark horse I think can make it out of this region. And for me, the value here with the Creighton Blue Jays. Now, I'm not calling them a sleeper, but this is still a great value to even put a couple bucks on if you're looking for a future. This is a well-rounded Creighton team. Craig McDermott has led to the tournament 5 of the last 6 seasons. There was a time this year where I called Creighton into question. They were mired in injury-plagued slump in December, and metric sites like Ken Palm love the Blue Jays throughout, and they still do, as they're 13th in the country according to Ken Palm rankings, despite owning 12 losses. But you could really see the impact that Ryan Kalkbrenner had on the Blue Jays once he came back from injury. And this was a Creighton team that was a tough out more often than not. They've got great guard play. They can match up with pretty much any team in this portion of the bracket. And I have them being a fairly favorable having a fairly favorable path to the Sweet 16 at the very least, dispatching what I feel is a very overrated NC State team, and then getting past either a Baylor team that was the worst in Big 12 play in defensive efficiency and really saw their defense slip over the course of conference play, or a UC Santa Barbara team that will be riding the high of their first round upset win over Baylor should they get it, and then they're going to pretty much run into a buzzsaw in Creighton here. The last hurdle would be what I think would project to be a matchup with Arizona. But again, I think the Blue Jays match up well with Arizona across the board, and that would be a bit of a revenge spot for Creighton, considering they had a 2-point loss to Arizona in the final of the Maui Invitational, in what was at that time and probably still is one of the games of the year. But that's my value pick. But my pick to win this region, I'm going to go with the Alabama Crimson Tide. I do have Creighton making it to the Elite Eight, but I think it's Alabama that's going to the Final Four. I think this is a great price for the Tide, and it's definitely more profitable than the strategy I've seen some people employ in opposition of traditional futures, where you just take a money line and then roll the profits forward going forward. I think this is the best way to get yourself some decent plus money out of this. I just think Alabama, is one of, if not the most complete team in the field. You got Brandon Miller leading the offense, Charles Bediako and Noah Clowney, grabbing boards and protecting the paint. Now, the awarding of the number 1 overall seed to Alabama was controversial to some, but I think the Tide can put those questions to rest here. I think they're going to play with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Creighton or any of the other potential threats, in my opinion, Arizona will be formidable opponents, but I just think Alabama too much for this region. So my pick to win this region is going to be Alabama at plus 190. But there you have it. That's your preview for the South region of the 2023 NCAA tournament. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to make it to the Final Four, and will they win the national title? What upsets do you like? Leave your picks in the comments section below. And don't forget, you can find all of my best bets at Pick Dawgz Premium, including my top March Madness selections. And while you're at Pick Dawgz, check out our betting tools. They're 100% free. They're a great betting tool to have. A great tool to have in general when you're making your best bets for the day's action. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, and hit the thumbs up. Best of luck with all your bets, and let the madness begin.